This is 7.4, solving in big time style, using two-step equations. I want you to start on page 364 and do problems 1A through G and then press play. When solving problems A through G, you should have found that it costs $99.99 to ride in the limo for the first hour, and then an additional $23.75 each hour after that. Letter H says, what would it cost to rent a limo from Limousines by Lily for 10 hours, and explain your reasoning? Well, we know that it costs $99.99 for the first hour, plus the $23.75 each additional hour after the first hour. So if we want to rent for 10 hours, here's our first hour. We need 9 more hours to get to 10. So we need to multiply these two together and then add on the additional $99.99. We should get a total of $313.74. So again, we took the first hour price and added it to the rate of $23.75 per hour, and we needed 9 extra hours because 9 plus 1 gives us 10. Letter I says, what would it cost to rent a limo from Limousines by Lily for 13 hours? I want you to try this one on your own. Make sure you explain your reasoning and tell us how you got the answer. And then when you're done, you can press play. You should have found that if you want to rent the limousine for 13 hours, it costs $384.99. This is because we had the $99.99 for the first hour, and then we need 12 more hours at the $23.75 rate, and the 12 plus the first hour gives us the 13. Number 2 on the next page says, let H represent the total number of rental hours from Limousines by Lily. Write an expression to calculate the number of hours that cost $23.75. Remember, an expression is just letters and numbers. So if we're using H to represent the hours, and we're doing only the hours that cost $23.75, that's every single hour except for the first hour. So we can use all hours using the variable H except or minus the first hour. Number 3 says, write an equation you could use to find the number of hours a limousine is rented from Limousines by Lily for a total of 266.24. So we're going to use almost the same equation we used last time. We have the $99.99 for the first hour plus the $23.75, and then our variable is H minus 1, again because the first hour is always right here, equals the 266.24. So this is an equation because there is an equal sign. The equation you wrote in question 3 can be simplified before it can be solved. In previous lessons, you learned to simplify algebraic expressions using a variety of strategies. Name the strategies necessary to simplify the equation you wrote. I want you to think about number 4. What strategy are you going to use? And then you're going to use that strategy in number 5. I will give you a hint. These parentheses have something to do with the strategy that you are going to use. So do number 4, write the strategy that you're going to use, and then try number 5, and when you have your answer to number 5, press play. You should have seen that you were going to use the distributive property. Since this 23.75 is on the outside of the parentheses, it needs to be multiplied through to both things on the inside. So I took 23.75 times H with my blue, and I got 23.75H. And then with the purple marker, I took 23.75 and multiplied it by 1, and I just got 23.75. Here I kept the negative sign a negative sign. Then I just went through and simplified my equation. These two numbers here circled in black are just regular numbers with no variables, so I can subtract them. 99.99 minus 23.75 gives me 76.24. I kept my plus sign a plus sign, and then this cannot be combined with anything else because it has the variable of h. It's not common with the other ones, so it just stays the same, and then I can bring down my 266.24. So this is your simplified equation. Go ahead and try number 6 and then press play when you have your answer. For number 6, you should have gotten that they rented the limousine for 8 hours. Now I want you to try number 7 on page 367 and then go all the way through page 369. These answers will be checked in class tomorrow. When you have these answers finished, I want you to go ahead and press play, and I will be starting on page 370. So do these pages and then stop when you get to page 370. All right, I'm starting back on problem 2, page 370. Make sure that if you had any questions on the previous page, you circle them or highlight them so that when you get back to class tomorrow, you can be asking your questions. But we will check over all those answers tomorrow. All right, number 2 says, as part of her research, Katie discovers that she must charge sales tax to her customers in addition to her rental fees. In her county, the sales tax is 7%. This means that she must charge an additional 7% of her rental fee to be paid as tax. 1 says, write a percent equation that would tell Katie how much tax to collect for any amount of rental fee. Let X represent the rental fee and Y represent the sales tax. So if we're looking to find the sales tax, we're going to set our equation equal to Y. Remember that anytime you're going to be writing a percentage in an equation, you need to set it up as a decimal or a fraction. So if I want to change 7% to a decimal, I need to remember to move my decimal point twice to the left. So I have 0.07, and then I'm going to be multiplying that times whatever the rental fee is. So the percentage times the rental fee gives me how much they pay in tax. I can also set up the equation with a fraction, y equals 7 over 100. Remember that percents are always written over 100, and then again I have to multiply it by the rental fee. Katie also discovers that most limousine rental companies collect a flat gratuity from customers. A gratuity is just kind of like a tip, in addition to the rental fee. Katie decides to collect a gratuity of $35 from her customers. Write an equation that represents the total amount of additional money to be collected for tax and gratuity. So T in terms of the rental fee X. So if we're trying to figure out how much these two are with a T, we're going to set T equal to what we found here. 0.07, that's the tax, and the tax depends on how much they use at the rental fee, so we still have to be multiplying it by X. And then we can also add on, the extra tip at the end, which is $35. And remember, you can always do this equation with a fraction like we did up here. All right, I want you to go through and answer all the rest of the questions in the lesson through question 3 on page 372. Answer all of those questions, and when you're done, you can press play to check your answers here in the video. Here are your answers for A through D. You were just plugging in numbers into the equation that you set up in problem 2. So here are your answers. Check your answers with what you got. And then make sure that you are circling or highlighting if you have any questions on how I got these answers so that you can ask them in class. Here's your final answer for the night. The answer to number 3 is 9 hours. You are all done. Just make sure that you have page 367 through 369 completed because we will be checking those answers in class tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.